Everyone, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to clear the blue guild boss, the Nightmare version. This is done without using Rhya or any green DPS, in fact. Now, I know there are already guides out there on the YouTube to show you how to can possibly clear the blue guild boss by using Rhya, loads of buff, and then one-shot it, which is fair enough. However, I also understand loads of people, including myself, actually skipped the Rhya and Lake banner completely because they were saving up for the season 2 characters such as Noelle and Charmy, and also saving up for juniors, etc. So a lot of people skip that banner completely. And if you also didn't get Fragonia in your other pools, then very likely you would be in the same position as me, which is not having any green DPS at all. And that is going to make the blue guild boss a bit more difficult because you don't have any that color advantage, etc. But it's still doable, and I'm going to show you the strategy of how to actually achieve that. Now, I'm going to show you the team first, and then I'll talk about why this team works by referring to the boss game mechanic. So the team I'm going to use is going to be Junius, William, Season 2 Noel, and Season 2 Charming. Now, Julius, you can possibly replace with another blue DPS, single target one with huge amount of attack. So maybe Season 1 Blue Yami can work. Yeah, I think Season 1 Blue Yami can probably work because I'm not really using any special game mechanics for Juniors. I'm literally just using for the pure damage output. So Juniors can potentially be replaced by Blue Yami, but I do feel everyone's juniors probably going to be higher level and more built than Blue Yami. So I'm going to assume everyone do have access to juniors. Everyone should hopefully also have access to Season 2 Noelle and Season 2 Charmy because you will be summoning on that banner and hopefully you all got copies of it. Noelle you can keep it at 0 dupe, but Charmy you need it at least enhanced 2 for its passive healing every turn for that to work. So my one is enhanced 2, and I know enhanced 2 is enough, but you definitely do need it, otherwise the healing is not going to be sufficient. And then the other character or the fourth character on the spot, I have used William, and in theory, I think my strategy would also work if you have Radis or Radis. Outside of those two, I'm not sure who else would be able to do it. Maybe Mimosa if we go for pure out sustain, but I still feel like it can be difficult. So you can potentially try Mimosa as well. You may be losing out on some of the attacking damage, but maybe it will still you can still do it. You may have to test it out. But definitely William and Radius, I can see completely they will be able to pass this easily. And I'm going to show you how. I will show the actual video demo at the end of the clip, but let me talk about the game mechanics first, just so you kind of know why this works. And when I actually then move on to the demo, I will actually do commentary step by step, so you guys know exactly which attack to use at each stage. Okay, so why does this team work? So first thing you have to realize is that because you are not using any green DPS, you have to do enough damage, and that's going to be difficult because normally there's that color advantage would allow you to do a lot more damage, etc., and take less damage, etc. If you don't have that and you need to kill this boss within 10 turns, you really need to. The only way you can do it with like a blue unit. Um, I mean, unless you have ridiculous gears, like completely built up, otherwise for free to plays like me, you need to just attack more. It's just as simple as that. You kind of overcome quality with quantity. So with enough hits on your units, then you should be able to hit enough within the same 10 turns and therefore do enough damage in total. And the way you want to do this is you either want to speed up your unit, which is kind of why I have William on my team, and or which is quite tricky, you do counterattack, which once again is what William and also Noel is able to offer because Noel can put up a barrier aimed at Junior, so Junior's counterattack whenever he get hit, and same thing William can use actually his special skill to give one counterattack as well. So that's why you can actually make up for the lower damage output despite the fact you're a blue unit and you don't have color advantage. You make up for that shortfall in the damage output by just simply attacking more. So that's basically one very important aspect you have to realize here. Then the second thing why the team I showed you works is this skill 2. So basically, if you actually look at this boss, basically it have one single target attack which targets the enemy with a higher speed. it has a second one which also targets single target, targets the one with the higher speed, and then you have two AoE attacks. So this is the game mechanics for the boss. Obviously, you can't do anything with AoE because AoE is always going to hit you. However, for the two single target hits, you can actually play around with that by adjusting the speed of your characters. And that's also another reason why I said William, and also I'll talk about why Radius could also work. So Juniors by itself have high speed, but on my team it's not going to be the highest. William is going to have the highest speed. However, when I use William's skill 2, what I can do is I can actually give enough speed increase for Juniors to be the highest member on the team. So actually, depending on the time when I use my William skill 2, I can decide whether the enemy is going to attack my juniors or the enemy is going to attack into my William. And this gives me a way to do two things. One, I can time the timing of when I can use Noel's barrier, skill 2 barrier. Because if I time all of my skill 2 at the same time, even though William skill 2 only have a two turn cooldown, whereas Noel have a 3-turn cooldown, I just simply wait out for one extra turn. So I always use my two skill 2s always at a 3-turn rotation. And what that basically means is that as soon as I use my William skill 2, I will be also using my Noel's skill 2 as well at the same time. Both of them will be applied to Junius. So at that point, Junius is going to have the higher speed, and therefore the enemy will be attacking into him. But it's fine because you will be safe because you have Noel's barrier on Junius because you have activated barrier at the same time, and also you'll be counter attacking back as well. So this way, not only you protect your Junius from any damage, you also allow him to hit a lot more and also harder from William's skill too. So that's basically what I do. And once the 2-turn buff goes away and also the 2-turn barrier goes away, uh, what do you get? Jude is no longer the fastest character anymore on the team, and therefore William will be taking the damage, and therefore you're actually protecting your juniors from taking any attacks from the enemy, and therefore protecting your juniors. So that's why this team works really well because you're actually playing around and rotating who will be getting hit. So even though you don't have that color advantage, you will be taking a bit more damage than let's say a green unit. But because you are timing your skills accordingly, you are spreading out the damage across both your Julius and also your William, and also allowing Julius to counterattack safely, even though he's been targeted. So that's kind of why William really works. And the reason why I say Radius can also work is that even though Radius doesn't have the highest attack, highest speed in the game, in the battle, so i.e. Julius will always be outspeeding Radius. What you can actually play around is you can use Radius skill combo skill, which actually taunts the enemy. So what that then means is that the enemy will be forced to attacking into your radius when that taunt is active. So if you actually then pair up radius with Junior, so imagine in this position, I don't actually have Winner anymore, I have Radius. What you can do is you can start off the battle when Juniors have higher speed, because from the speed gear, by the way, that's why Juniors would have higher speed, and that speed buff from the speed gears for 2 turns, which is the same duration as Noel's barrier. So what you will do is you start off the battle with Noel's barrier on from the very first turn. Then for the first 2 turns, Juniors will be targeted by the enemy and then therefore hitting back with a counter attack. After those 2 turns are gone, Juniors still have the higher speed. However, you just simply use Radius combo attack to make sure the enemy would then targeting Radius instead. Now, the only problem with this is that after the taunt is gone, the enemy will be forced coming back onto attacking Julius again. So really, if you do go down the Radius option, it kind of depends on whether you can do enough damage will have enough defensive capability for you to survive after the taunt. Also considering you don't have the attacking buff from William anymore, so I'm not sure whether you can do it, but in theory, that is also a plausible solution. So you can do try that out if you don't have William. Now, so that's kind of the reason why I have Julius, William, and also Noel on my team. Now, for Charmy, it's quite straightforward. You need it for the passive healing, but more importantly is the fact that This enemy have a way to inflict poison, and also his special skill is basically saying that if the enemy is taking continuous damage, then you attack after granting a 300% increased damage dealt buff, which is absolutely crazy and can one-shot your juniors and also one-shot your Noel. So you want to prevent that by removing that continuous damage, and S2 Charmy skill 2 is able to do so. So basically, the way you play S2 Charmy is that you save up her skill 2 only for when you see either you are infected with poison or when you see the enemy is about to use a special skill and also you have poison on you at the same time. So that's kind of the reason why S2 Charmy is also very much needed. Now, before showing the demo and also commentary step by step how you want to play the battle out, I'm gonna show you my gear setup as well. So for Judas, I have went for all attacks. And the reason why it's all attack, even though Judas by nature is a magic attack user, but in all honesty, I mean, I'll probably make a separate video for this. The way I talk about gears and builds, I don't actually think it's restricted to character. It's actually more restricted to the team because all of the skill output for any attack, you can see it always have the same scaling for attack and magic attack. Gears, whether you use attacking gears or magic attack gears, only matter depending on what buffers you have on the team. So if you play with William, you should always use attack gears. If you have Sally on your team, you should always be using magic gears. It's just as simple as that. You don't actually need to actually worry about his base attack. This only is going to matter. The gear, whether you choose attack or magic attack, only matters depending on who else is on your team, not actually depending on the character himself. So it's a very funny fact, but which I know a lot of people think juniors should only be built with magic because that's high in magic by nature, but that's totally not the case. You decide gears not based on the character, but actually based on your teammates. But anyway, so like I said, because William have an attacking buff, that's kind of why you want your juniors to be on all attack in terms of stuff. And I do have this crit damage piece on him, which in honesty, I think crit rate is probably going to be better, but I don't actually have a two-piece crit rate, which is why I'm using crit damage. So I did kind of need to rely on a tiny bit for RNG, which is the you need to crit every now and then. But you can probably overcome this from other areas. Um, so this is kind of my build for Junior, so all attack. Then for Noel, the thing with Noel is that you need to survive. Noel is all about surviving. So that's kind of why I went for a mixture of attack and also defense pieces. So you want to pick defense over HP because when you have that barrier on, your HP is kind of protected. However, you will still benefit from that defense, which is why Noel always prefer defense over HP. And then also I do have a bit of magic attack because at least that will be giving you higher barrier, which then helps in turn to protect both yourself and also the rest of the team. So that's kind of why it's a mixture of both magic attack increase and also defense increase. So you can see I'm kind of spread out between the two stats. And also in terms of skill page, I do have this one, which also give increase. Oh, that's actually a lot. I didn't realize 48% increase defense. But that's also a very important skill page. You may be able to get away without this if you do a bit more defensive gear instead. But that's kind of basic idea for Noel. You need to be able to attack at least one hit, the starting hit from the boss. So that's Noel build. William, as you can see, I didn't really bother. You don't really need anything for William, to be honest. Then who's the other character? Charmy. Charmy is always full HP because all of Charmy's healing scale of HP. So you just want to do as much HP pieces as possible. So I have full LR pieces. All of them are the HP pieces, and all of them are level plus 12. But that's kind of what you need for Charmy. And similarly for skill page, use the one that will give you HP. And also the other skill page I didn't show is for William, you want Sally's one. So that can give you some extra attacking and also magic attack buff. And for juniors, you would just be using his own skill page. It doesn't actually matter much. Because the additional effect give is the debuff, but because the enemy had to have debuff immunity, it doesn't really matter. So you are actually only benefiting from the increase of attack. So you can potentially actually swap this out with another more, let's say, generic skill page. Okay, and now let me show you the actual run that I did in order to actually beat it, and I will talk through it turn by turn so you know exactly what to do every single time. So, as we go into the battle, the enemy is going to do one massive AoE, and like I said, you want your Noel and also Juniors to be tanky enough to actually withstand the first hit. It's mainly Noel that's going to be the problem. Juniors, you still want to do majority attack pieces, so you are more needing kind of from the talent perspective to make sure he withstands the attack. And I don't think I've done anything special. He can just like withstand one attack naturally. Noelle, just remember what I said, put more defense pieces on Noelle to make sure that she can survive the first hit. That's going to be enough. Now, starting off, because all of your skill 2 will be ready to be used, so the timing for William and also Noel is in sync. So you start off with Williams buffing up Julius with skill 2 and also Noel putting up a barrier with on Julius as well. Now, in terms of what juniors need to attack, juniors should always only do normal attack or skill 5. Not skill 5, what am I talking about? Special skill. Those are the only two attacks juniors should be using because of two things. One, his skill 2 do a bit of debuff, but the enemy have debuff immunity, so it's not going to do anything at all. And also, his skill 2 have a chance to increase your own mobility or increase your own speed, and that's going to mess up your attacking order. Sorry, not your attacking order, but who the enemy is going to pick as the attacking enemy. So therefore, as a result, never use skill 2 on Julius. Julius should always either use skill 1 or special skill to make sure that you can always know exactly who is going to get attacked by the boss. Now, in terms of Charmy, like I said, you want to save skill 2 for when one of your units is actually poisoned. So Charmy, use skill 1 first to just do some generic attack and also healing. Now, because I have barrier on my Julius is going to get hit, and therefore you also counter with an attack. Then in the next turn, you're going to use your special skill, and I was lucky here to get a crit. I'm not sure whether I could have done it without the crit, so maybe there's a bit of RNG from this perspective. Even though I think I can probably just about to do it. Yeah, I think I can probably just about to do it because I do feel like I still have 2 extra turns remaining at the end. So maybe the extra damage from those 2 turns is enough to bridge the gap between a crit and a non-crit. So, but it's something obviously kind of dependent on your own gears and how good they are. So you may need to test that out yourself. And then because at this point, Junius have already done his 2 turns, right? I have attacked by himself in the first turn with his skill 1 and also just used my special skill just now. So after the 2 turn is gone, his speed buff is also disappeared, and therefore the enemy is gonna attack into your William next. Actually, even though the next attack is AoE, but all the single target attack will be targeting William. But I am putting up Fortify or the special skill from William in order to make sure that even though the barrier is almost about to disappear from juniors still have a way to counterattack and also increase your defense. So it kind of protect you from the enemy special skill. So you can say enemy special skill is full, and therefore that Fortify really help you to avoid being killed off. One thing I may have quickly skipped over is that if you look at right now, the enemy is going to do a single target attack with him, and this is gonna poison with him. Right, you can see here William is being poisoned, and this is where the next thing. Oh, also one bit of micromanagement here. Noel's special skill buff up magic attack, and higher magic attack will means higher barrier. So for the second attack your Noel want to do, it's actually going to be your skill 1 rather than your special skill. So this way you don't waste the increased magic attack buff on your barrier. So that's kind of one thing you want to do. For S2 Charmy, because my unit has been poisoned, it's very important for me to use skill 2 to remove that continuous damage. So the boss doesn't get that extra buff. For juniors, I'll be just using skill 1 to chip down, do some chip damage. Now you can see the boss do a massive special attack, but not enough to actually take me out. Here, Noel can then use the special attack, which then give her a magic attack buff, I believe. Then it comes to S2 Charmy. Now, because loads of your unit have already taken damage from the enemy's special skill, and also you don't have barrier, it's very important for Charmy to then use her special skill here to top up some of the HP. Now the enemy done another AoE, but not enough to actually kill you off. And at this point, you can see that my barrier is ready, and also I can then time my William's skill 2 and Noel's skill 2 at the same time. So which is why I have used now barrier on Noel, because I don't have the speed up buff from William yet. So that's kind of why William is still the one being targeted right now. But that's fine. I am now gonna speed up my juniors. So now juniors should be the one being targeted. I take a look, I can see my William has been poisoned again, so therefore I use the skill 2 from my Charmy to get rid of that poison. And now juniors just always do skill 1 normal attack. Now because juniors have that speed buff, now he's been targeted, and also because he has a barrier, he then therefore counter attack. And once again, junior just use normal skill 1 to do a bit of chip damage. Noel was silence, I think. So that was the only thing she can do anyway. This point, enemy is going to do another huge AoE, but once again, all of my units survive. So that's kind of why I say it's very important for you to build, your Noel, etc. Actually having that defensive capability. Now you can see the barrier is still not available, and also I don't actually have enough healing. I was kind of debating on whether I want to heal here and top up HP or not, but there's no poison. And oh, okay, I still decided. I think I probably realized the enemy is a bit low on HP. Oh, I remember what the reason why I done it. It's because the enemy just used a special skill. So even if I do get poisoned now, it's gonna be fine because the enemy is not gonna use his special skill anytime soon again. So therefore, it's actually fine to use your skill 2 now because the skill 2 is only on 2 turn cooldown. So it's actually still very easy for you to still get a chance to use skill 2 again just before the enemy boss is gonna use ultimate again. Now, unfortunately, my Noel still survived because that's why I put the defense piece on. But Juniors died, but that's fine. I just resurrect. My Juniors is Hunt 5, by the way, so that's kind of why he come back full HP. And from my counting, I know Noel's barrier is going to be available next turn, so that's why I am now free to use my speed. And also Noel should be able to use okay, I killed the boss already. And that's kind of why I know what at least I think I didn't need the crit damage. What need to crit on my special skill from juniors because even if I didn't do that, I would still have 2 extra turns from my Noel's barrier and also William speed buff. So that actually still means my team is protected for at least 2 turns, possibly even more if my Charmy special skill then becomes available. So that will be at least 2 extra turn of damage I can do. So that's kind of why I do feel like that should be enough for the gap between crit and not a crit. So yeah, so this is basically how I managed to beat the nightmare version of the blue guild boss without needing any green DPS. Hopefully, this will be applicable to you. If you don't have William, then like I said, you can still potentially play around with Raditz and see whether that works or not.